Hey gamers, welcome to our YouTube channel, Video Games Reviews and News, your ultimate destination for everything gaming. Get ready for honest reviews, exciting updates, and tips to level up your gameplay. Don't forget to subscribe and join our gaming community. Let's dive into this video. Top 7 Worst Video Games of 2024. What went wrong? We all know the feeling. You've been waiting for months, hyping yourself up for that one game that promised to redefine the industry, but then it drops. And it's a buggy, unplayable mess. What happened? Well, sometimes the hype train derails. Whether it's clunky gameplay, outdated graphics, or enough bugs to rival an entomologist's collection, some games just don't live up to the hype. And trust me, 2024 has had its fair share of disappointments. So today we're diving headfirst into the dumpster fire of disappointment, with a look at the top 7 worst games of 2024. So far, we're starting with the least offensive and slowly working our way down to the absolute bottom of the barrel. Buckle up, theorists, because this is gonna be a bumpy ride. Game number 7, Fast and Furious Crossroads. Kicking off our list at number 7, we have Fast and Furious Crossroads, a futuristic racing game that promised to redefine the genre with its innovative track design and high-octane action. On paper, it sounded incredible. A racing game with a unique twist? Sign me up. But the reality, my friends, was about as exciting as watching paint dry. The first red flag? The controls felt like steering a shopping cart through a mud pit. Remember those old racing games where your car handled like it was made of lead? Yeah, Fast and Furious Crossroads was worse. And the less said about the innovative track design, the better. Imagine racing through a kaleidoscope designed by a toddler hopped up on sugar. It was dizzying, disorienting, and frankly gave me a headache. But hey, maybe the story could salvage this train wreck, right? Wrong. The plot was as generic as they come, with characters so bland they could put a saltine cracker to shame. Look, I'm not expecting Shakespeare here, but a little effort wouldn't hurt. Fast and Furious Crossroads. You had potential, but you drove it straight into a wall. Coming in at number 6 is Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League, an action-adventure game that had the unfortunate luck of being a buggy mess at launch. Now, I'm not talking about a few harmless glitches here and there. We're talking game-breaking, progress-halting, controller-throwing bugs. Imagine this. You finally reached the final boss after hours of grinding, you're about to land the finishing blow, and bam! The game crashes. But the bugs weren't the only issue. The translation was so bad, it felt like it was run through Google Translate a dozen times. I'm all for supporting developers from different countries, but when the dialogue is incomprehensible, it really takes you out of the experience. It's like trying to enjoy a gourmet meal that's been seasoned with dirt. And the worst part? The developers went completely silent after launch. No patches, no updates, no communication whatsoever. It's like they released the game into the wild and then just abandoned it. Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. You had a lot of potential, but you were ultimately let down by technical issues and a severe lack of polish. Number 5 on our list of shame is The Haunting of Blackwood Manor, a survival horror game that promised to be the scariest experience of 2024. The trailers were terrifying, the atmosphere was thick with dread, and the monster design? Pure nightmare fuel. So where did it all go wrong? In a word, predictability. Remember those horror movies where you can predict every single jump scare? The Haunting of Blackwood Manor was the video game equivalent. The scares were so telegraphed, so obvious, that they lost all impact. It was like being chased by a chihuahua in a Halloween costume, more cute than terrifying. But the real missed opportunity here was the story. Survival horror thrives on atmosphere and narrative, on drawing you into its world and making you feel truly vulnerable. But The Haunting of Blackwood Manor just felt flat. The characters were forgettable, the plot was paper-thin, and the ending was so abrupt it felt like the developers just ran out of time and decided to call it a day. Coming in at number 4 is Concord, a game that was a major letdown despite the hype. A vast world to explore? Check. Repetitive gameplay? Check. A compelling story with memorable characters? Well, not so much. Concord suffered from a severe case of uninspired design. You know what I'm talking about, those games where the world is so vast but it's also incredibly empty and repetitive. You spend hours upon hours completing the same fetch quests, collecting the same meaningless collectibles, and fighting the same enemies over and over again. It was like playing a glorified to-do list disguised as a video game. And the story? Let's just say it was about as engaging as watching grass grow. The characters were one-dimensional, the dialogue was predictable, and the plot was so convoluted, I'm pretty sure even the developers didn't know what was going on. Concord, you had the potential to be an epic adventure, but you got lost in your own mediocrity. At number 3, we have Diablo Immortal, a free-to-play mobile game that took microtransactions to a whole new level of absurdity. Now I understand that free-to-play games need to make money somehow, but Diablo Immortal was like being held hostage by a vending machine. Want to progress past level 3? That'll be $4.99. Want to unlock a new character? Cough up $9.99. Want to actually enjoy the game without waiting 3 days for your energy bar to refill? Well, you better be prepared to empty your wallet. It was predatory, it was frustrating, and it completely ruined any enjoyment I might have gotten out of the game. And the worst part? The game itself wasn't even that bad. It had some interesting mechanics and a decent art style, but it was all buried under a mountain of microtransactions. Diablo Immortal, you're a prime example of why people hate mobile gaming. Number 2 on our list of disappointments is Battlefield 2042, a first-person shooter that was plagued by technical issues from day one. We're talking frame rate drops so bad, it felt like I was watching a slideshow. Textures that refused to load, leaving me staring at blurry messes. And don't even get me started on the input lag. Trying to aim in this game was like trying to hit a moving target while wearing oven mitts. It was frustrating, it was unplayable, and it made me question how this game ever made it past quality assurance. But the technical issues weren't the only problem. The game itself was just bland. The weapons were uninspired, the levels were forgettable, and the multiplayer was so unbalanced it felt like playing against a team of hackers. Battlefield 2042, you were a technical disaster and a missed opportunity all rolled into one. Coming in at number 1 is Cyberpunk 2077, a game that felt like it was released in alpha stage. Remember those early access games that were full of bugs, glitches, and missing content? Yeah, this was worse. It was like the developers just said, screw it, ship it, without even bothering to do a basic playtest. The game was riddled with game-breaking bugs, the AI was dumber than a box of rocks, and the story felt like it was abruptly cut off halfway through. It was clear that this game was nowhere near ready for release, but for some reason, it was unleashed upon the world anyway. Cyberpunk 2077, you're a shining example of everything that's wrong with the gaming industry's obsession with releasing games before they're ready. So, there you have it, theorists, the top 7 worst games of 2024 so far. From buggy messes to uninspired clones to games that were just plain unfinished, this year has had its fair share of disappointments. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. Some of these games might still have a chance to redeem themselves with some much-needed updates and patches. Who knows, maybe Cyberpunk 2077 inches will finally fix those game-breaking bugs, or maybe Anthem will release a story DLC that actually lives up to its potential. But for now, we can only shake our heads in disappointment and hope that the rest of 2024 brings us more gaming gems and fewer gaming disasters. But remember, theorists, this was just the tip of the iceberg. The absolute worst game of 2024 is still out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting to disappoint us all. Stay tuned. Finally, share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your theories. And if you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more fascinating content, and don't forget to like this video, share the video with friends who love video games. Join us to get always more awesome game reviews and news. Have a nice day.